Hey everybody, Matt here. Today I decided to make a little video comparing my Heckler Koch P7 PSP with my P7 M10. Now there are a lot of videos online already that go into the history and the lore, the internal workings of these pistols and what makes them unique, and they're terrific videos. I'm not going to necessarily go deep diving into that. This is mainly just to compare the two models together, just in case you're in the market for one and you want to know the differences. Unfortunately, I don't have the other models, the K3 and the M13 or the M8 to compare side by side with everything, but maybe one day. We'll see. So the original P7 PSP went into production in 1979, and the M10 was released on the market in 1991. All of the P7s ceased production in 2008. You are going to notice right off the bat we have different calibers. The PSP 9mm, 8 rounds in the magazine, single stack. The M10 is 40 caliber, double stack, 10 rounds, which feeds into single stack there at the top. The original PSP has a heel mag release right here on the bottom. The model after this that was introduced as the M8 version has the release where the M10 has it, which is right here on the side next to the trigger. So I kind of like to think of this as the original paddle release. The PSP weighs approximately 27.7 ounces, and the M10 weighs approximately 44 ounces. The PSP is 6.5 inches in length, and the M10 is 6.9 inches in length. Just a little bit longer on the M10, not a whole lot. The differences, however, are really going to come in to play when it comes to the width and the height. So the width of the PSP is 1.1 inches, and the width of the M10 is 1.3 inches. Don't let these aftermarket stick-on grips fool you, though. Once you remove those, it does look a lot skinnier. The height of the PSP is 5 inches. The M10 is 5.7. And then also look at the difference in the size of the slides. That M10 has a very chunky slide. They both have a very tiny slide lock button right here next to the trigger to lock the slide back. Disassembly is the same. They both have this takedown button. And if you want to look at the top down, they are both similar. Just a couple words of wisdom. If you are in the market for a P7, there are a couple points that you are going to want to pay special attention to. And that is, number one, going to be the welds inside the slide. You definitely want to make sure there are no cracks visible in those welds. And then you will also want to measure the diameter of the piston to make sure that it has not been ground down through vigorous cleaning. So I do recommend that you take calipers and actually measure the diameter to make sure it is within spec. I usually use the first two protrusions to get the measurement. I'll post the measurements on the screen here on what we're looking for to be within spec. If it's out of spec, then the gas retardation system is not going to function properly, and you will need to purchase a new piston, and good luck finding those. Assembly of the slide is the same for both. You do have to kind of feel your way to insert the piston into the gas chamber back there. I call it a gas chamber. I don't know what other people call it. I do think it's ironic that there is a gas chamber on a German firearm. Haha. You do kind of need to feel your way in sometimes, though, if it doesn't line up. I am pretty careful when I do that because, again, I don't want to damage the piston at all. And then another thing about the P7 PSPs when they first came to market, apparently people are finding that the top of the trigger guard here is getting super hot after firing off several rounds. So starting with the M8 and the models after, they added this heat shield, this plastic heat shield up here. Now, I will tell you that I can go through several magazines with my PSP, and I don't really notice that it's a problem at all. I'm not really grabbing it here, and my finger isn't touching the top of the guard inside there to even notice. So I personally don't think it's a big deal. Some people, it does catch them off guard, though, if they bump into it and it's too hot. Now, this is a calibrated push/pull gauge that I have here. I'm not a fan of those pull gauges that are specifically marketed towards firearms like the Wheeler. I don't know that those are too consistent, and I don't even know if you're able to calibrate them if they're out of spec or not. So I use this guy here. So let's test the pull weight of the triggers. Remember, on the P7s, you have a dead trigger, which one of the many features that makes these fantastic firearms, especially for carry. A lot of people still carry these, which I think is awesome. But you have a dead trigger until you engage the squeeze cocker. £3 pounds, 13 ounces. 4 pounds. 3 pounds, 14 ounces. 4 pounds, 5 ounces. So I'm going to call that 4 pounds. 3 pounds, 7 ounces. 3 pounds, 8 ounces. 3 pounds, 8 ounces. 3 pounds, 8 ounces. There you go. Very consistent on the M10. Okay, so now that we've done a little side-by-side comparison on the bench, let's take them out to the range, and I'll let you know what I feel are the important differences in shooting the two. Okay, one more thing I wanted to show you all here before we fire these is going to be the accessories, the original accessories they came with. Again, just in case you're in the market for them, it's very important that you know about these fine details, because these are so expensive and somewhat rare to find complete, that if you have to piece together all the accessories in the box and whatnot, it can become really expensive, because the accessories on the open market right now are just crazy. You'll see what I mean here. So the first thing we have is going to be the cylinder brush. This is an original H&K cylinder brush. Every blue moon, well, actually more rare than a blue moon, but every once in a while, these will pop up on the H&K web shop store. I think we saw them pop up maybe a month or so ago, and then they sold out real quick, and they didn't have many at all, like maybe 30 were available. Every once in a while they get a surprise shipment in, and they'll throw them up on the store, but that is, again, extremely rare. You can find these currently on the web sites for maybe $25 when you can find them, $25, $30 or so. If you don't care about having one of these, that's fine. You can actually use a 30 gauge brush, and that'll fit in the gas cylinder. This is the original scraper tool they came with to scrape out the cylinder. These I've never seen H&K sell, at least not in the past, 5 years, 8 years, whenever. And I don't anticipate them selling more. When you can find these, they're usually around $100. You can also find an aftermarket version from a specific website. However, I highly recommend you do not purchase that. You'll be very disappointed. It is cheap stamped sheet metal, and it'll bend, and the fit isn't quite right. I know. I learned my lesson the hard way. Try and find an original. There are some online right now if you search the interwebs. This is what the manual refers to as the firing pin bushing screwdriver. If you'll notice here on the backs, the bushing of the PSP does not protrude as much as the M10. So when you go to twist it to remove the firing pin, you can't get purchase on it to twist it like you can on the M10. So that's kind of flat and flush. So this screwdriver is used to twist it to remove it. Not all PSP models came with this guaranteed. I think it was kind of sporadic based off of supply they had at the time. So if you don't have that tool, you're gonna have to find something else to twist that with. Again, these, when they are available, kind of like the scraper tool, about $100 online. And like the scraper tool, I've never seen H&K throw these back up on the website for sale ever. So keep that in mind. And the boxes are a whole different story. There's several different box styles depending on the year and model. And there's different colors. Some are paper, some are plastic, different colors, and too much to go into detail with this video, but those boxes can sell for several $100s. Most of them do have the serial number stamped on them as well, so if you do buy a secondary box, it's probably not going to match the serial number of your firearm. Keep that in mind. Not sure if that's important to you or not. Okay, so remember, trigger's dead unless you squeeze the cocker. That's the safety. One of the most safest safeties I think ever invented. So when you insert a magazine, you can manipulate the trigger all you want, and as long as the squeeze cocker isn't engaged, nothing's ever going to happen. And it does take some force to engage the squeeze cocker. I actually did a video testing that. I don't remember what the pressure was, but it is a good amount. So to have that squeezed by accident by us normal users is you got to go out of your way. Okay, so there are 3 different ways you can fire these pistols. Number 1, you can squeeze the cocker and fire the trigger. Number 2, you can squeeze the trigger and then squeeze the cocker. And third method is you can try and manipulate both at the same time. Now, the third option is probably going to be the most inaccurate for everybody because you don't know which is going to engage first. So it is kind of a little bit of I guess, a misnomer saying that you can do both at the same time because you're really not doing both at the same time. One is going to engage before the other. You're just going to be surprised on which is which. The preferred method, and for me at least the most accurate, is to engage the squeeze cocker first and then pull the trigger. For, I think, most people, that makes the most amount of sense. Now let me show you this. I'm about 10 yards out. And, okay, this is the one where I tried to squeeze both at the same time. This low one here is where I pulled the trigger first and then the cocker. And all these are cocker first, trigger second. So you can see for me which is most accurate. They're all pretty accurate. They're all acceptable to me. That's a 2-inch circle right there. So super accurate firearm. I mean, for me, this is probably more accurate than all my other pistols, like my VP9s and my M&Ps. So when people talk about this gun, it's not just all hype. Okay, so next up is going to be the M10 40 version. This is a big, as we went over the stats, this is a big chunky boy. I don't know a lot of people that carry the M10. I know people that do carry the M13, which is the 9mm larger size that holds 13 rounds. But even the M13 is not as physically big as the M10. But this is a big guy. And I got tiny Asian fingers too, so this isn't the best firearm for me to shoot, but it is fun. I do love shooting it. Now, I would say that although this is a 40, the size and the weight of this absorbs, and obviously the gas system inside, all that combined creates a pretty manageable recoil experience for me. It's not crazy. It's not going to fly out of your hand or anything. It's also a very accurate pistol because of all the metrics and the physics of how it works. Fantastic as well. I think I saw one of these sell recently online for $5,800. Again, nickel, with like 2 extra magazines. The magazines are super expensive for most of these P7 models, and I see them sell upwards of $150 each. People try and get $300-$400. Don't pay attention to those. They usually sell for the M10 usually around $100 average. For the PSP, again, usually around $80-$100 average. The M8s, there seem to be a more abundance of magazines available, and you can get those for cheaper. And then the K7 and the M13s, again, those can be pretty pricey as well. So also keep that in mind if you are trying to buy one of these pistols. Do some research on what is it missing, what do I need to go out and find myself now to piece together. Search out those prices and then add everything up all together. Do not be surprised and buy a pistol first and then find out, oh, now I got to pay $100 for an extra magazine. It is pretty expensive investment. And then one other thing I wanted to show you guys are these cool cases that I actually make myself. I just utilize the hard and rugged, very sturdy and quality cases from Harbor Freight, the Apache brand. These are actually very, very good cases for anything, and they are relatively cheap. But I laser cut these foam inserts, so you can see for the PSP and the M8 version, two extra mag slots on, and then on the larger size that fits the M10 and the M13, again two wells for mags, accessory well, and then in the bottom you can use that pluck foam for more storage. And I'll put links to these cases in the description if you guys want to purchase them. I sell them on eBay right now. But that's all I got for you today. I appreciate you watching if you made it till the end. If you have any questions, put them in the comments, subscribe, like, do all the stuff. I gotta go. Bye. Hey, one other cool feature of these pistols I totally forgot to mention is that when you insert a magazine, when you squeeze the cocker, that's what drops the slide, and now you have a round in the chamber. I thought that's pretty cool. All right, bye.